What is up, everybody? It's waba, and I wanted to take a little bit of time to make a video geared more towards the newer players that we have in Path of Exile, this being the players that came for 3.0 or maybe just started in Legacy League, or the players that are on Xbox. And the video is generally going to be about what items you should pick up in Path of Exile, especially when you are mapping. Now, this is just a general idea of what items are most likely worth your time in Path of Exile. Of course, there's a little bit of my own opinion in here, as there generally would be, but this could all change either because of the meta or your personal playstyle or whatever you like to do in Path of Exile. So, first things first. As a general rule of thumb, I pick up all accessories. This is rings, amulets, belts, and jewels, if they are rare, of course. Now, this is because on my channel you could check out some of my videos, and I actually do these videos called Craft Sesh, where I go through and I use alchemy orbs on amulet or ring bases or even belt bases that I prefer. Now, the thing about that is the fact that I do it to the ones that I prefer. If you were to use that same kind of mentality and only pick up the bases that you want or prefer, you wouldn't really pick up too many rings or amulets or belts. And the way that I look at it is whenever you're picking up these items, and generally all the items that I'm going to suggest picking up, it's as if you are picking up an item and an alchemy orb and you are alching it on the spot. Most likely it's not going to be worth selling and you're going to vendor it. But sometimes you'll get those items that are worth price checking and looking into further and potentially selling or trading to other players or even using yourself. So like I said, there are some bases that aren't very they're not as good as the other ones. And with those bases are the bases you're generally going to look at and think, maybe I should Val Orb this. For example, if you have a cloth belt that has a bunch of good stats on it, you know, like a tier 2 life roll and 2 good resist and maybe armor or flask effect duration, that belt is a prime candidate for a Val Orb to potentially get either, you know, any Val Orb implicit essentially, or whenever a Val Orb bricks an item, it will generally re-roll it into a 6 property item, which could also turn out pretty well. Amulets are another item that you could Val Orb as well. So if you do have those coral amulets and those Powa amulets, they're generally not very sought after bases. But as I said, if you do Val Orb them, you could get some pretty good implicits on them, including +1 frenzy charge, +1 maximum resist, and enemies could have an additional curse, making them potentially really powerful items. In fact, any rare amulet that is mediocre with +1 curses on it can be quite valuable, so it's definitely worth keeping that in mind. The next thing I would really suggest picking up would be daggers and wands. Now, daggers and wands could just carry a lot of value on them. All you really need is a dagger with 90+% spell damage, and including the implicit, and 1 or 2 other good offensive mods, and you could have something pretty valuable on your hands. Did I say wand or dagger? Either way, you could get something pretty good with either of these, and when it all comes down to it, the things that you pick up in Path of Exile, it's about inventory management. So with the rings, amulets, jewels, and the belts that I had mentioned before, you know, those only take 1 or 2 slots each, while daggers and wands, they'll take 3 slots. So a lot of this is actually focused around inventory management and playing as efficiently as possible with your time. So the next thing that I want to talk about are T1 bases. Now, any good loot filter should actually help you identify which T1 bases are out there or which ones you should be picking up. If you are on Xbox, I don't necessarily know the loot filter situation with Xbox, but any T1 item generally will have a base item level higher than level 60 and then have some pretty high stat requirements. But the tier 1 items are just, you know, things that, again, when it comes to inventory management, a tier 1 helm like a lion pelt, or tier 1 gloves like tie-in gauntlets, or tier 1 boots like slink boots, or, you know, a sorcerer boots or anything like that, they are worth picking up because if you get some decent rolls on them, they could roll a good amount of either inherent defenses like evasion or armor, or they could have a lot of energy shield, which energy shield carries a lot of value. Maybe not so much right now because of the meta, but I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing that come back. As for tier 1 chest pieces, they're perfectly fine to pick up and identify. However, the thing that you want to remember with rare chest pieces is that, again, it's a game of inventory management and being efficient with your time. Most of the time, any rare chest piece has to be, in order for it to be worth using or trading, it has to be exceptionally good. And I do mean exceptionally good. I'm not talking 50 life and 40 total resist and it's on a cutthroat base. I'm talking an assassin's garb with 1500 evasion, 90 plus life, maybe even more now with the new tiers, and then chaos resist. That's like tier 1 or tier 2 and just really good. And the reason being is that most builds are focused, I don't know if I really want to say this, but a lot of builds are focused around unique chest pieces, or there are some really good all-encompassing unique chest pieces. Like, for example, a Belly of the Beast is a very good life unique chest piece. So you're going to have a hard time getting a rare chest piece to beat that. Now, it's one thing if you find a 5-link or a 6-link and it has good stats on it. But even then, especially in the case of a 5-link, it may not even really compare to that of a Belly of the Beast. Because why would someone, when it comes to trading, why would someone pay 50 chaos for your 5-link assassin's garb with 80 life on it when that's 50 chaos towards a Belly of the Beast, which is better, So just think about that when it comes to rare chest pieces. They're okay to pick up and identify, but I wouldn't really focus too much on it. I would definitely only pick up the tier 1 chest pieces. And this one is a little obvious, but it is obviously currency items. Now, as you get faster, as you become more used to playing the game, and as you pick up some, I don't want to necessarily say better habits, but once you pick up some habits that allow you to play more efficiently and to trade more efficiently, a lot of the smaller currency items will become not really worth your time. For example, if you do vendor a lot of rare items, you're probably going to have plenty of orbs of alteration and orbs of augmentation. So, and then if you use and this even goes a little bit further, if you use the chaos recipe, which I'll talk about recipes in another video, you could find yourself running past chaos orbs. But with that said, generally if you're running past chaos orbs, you're not bothering with the chaos recipe either. So, the currency items, the smaller they are, the less valuable they are compared to your time. And I personally will only really pick up currency items that are like fusings or higher, unless I really need something. And if I really need chromes, I'll pick up chromatic recipes. That's, but that's not even a direct currency item. That's also a little bit about inventory management. But that does bring me to my next thing to pick up, and that is recipe items. Now, like I said, chromatic recipes, this is a red, green, blue linked item that when you put in the vendor window will give you a chromatic orb. Now, this is something that's good to pick up while you're leveling, because you could easily get 50 or 60 chaos by the time you're, or not 50 or 60 chaos, I'm sorry, 50 to 60 chromatics, once you reach endgame, and you could either use that to chromatic some of your gear, or you could trade it for chaos and sell some of your own items. Now, and if you're playing solo self-found, obviously you're probably going to need the chromatic, so it's good to know the recipe. Another recipe that most people will use is the 6 socket recipe, which will give you 7 jeweler orbs. This is just another way to, it's like pseudo currency when you're picking it up, but those are two recipes to pick up. There are some other ones, but again, like I said, I'll talk about recipes in another video. And then the last thing I want to talk about are unique items. Now, this is again straightforward like the currency, but there will be some items that are just not really worth keeping. I guess it's pretty implied that you're going to pick up a unique item because there's that rush of hearing that unique item drop, and that's what these games are all about. But a lot of unique items are not worth the inventory space in your stash tab, and it's better just to vendor them or to keep them for yourself and to keep a couple copies of it especially if you're playing in hardcore, and then you can, you know, level a character again or level a new character, do whatever you want, give a new player items. Sometimes I've done that before, where I'll go to like Act 1 in Lion Eyes Watch and I'll just give someone a bunch of items because I'm going to clear it out, or I'm going to vendor them. It doesn't necessarily matter. So yeah, like I said, this video is just a general guideline of what items to pick up. I will be doing some more videos about pricing the item specifically, or, you know, what items are worth selling, and, you know, maybe trading etiquette and things like that. You know, I really hope that we do get some trade improvements in the future, because I do think it is something that is overall going to hurt the Path of Exile community if it keeps going in this direction. But while we do have this trade system, I'm going to do my very best to help people get along with it, because, you know, we're all just playing a video game. We should all be having a good time and trading and having fun. Unless, of course, you're SSF, but I don't know. SSF is lame. All right. Well, if you have any comments or questions down, you could put them in the comment section down below. You could also catch me on my stream at twitch.tv/wabacha, and you could add me on Twitter at wabacha. And also, as the last thing, you could add me in game at wabacha, so you can see whenever I'm going live on my stream or whatever I have going on. I'll generally put it up in my broadcast. So thanks for listening, and thank you very much. If you like the video, share it, like it, whatever. Give me a subscribe, or don't. Have a good one. See you guys later.